Hey guys, so this is the third and final Rogue video for patch 7.0. In this one I will be covering some of the changes to Outlaw Rogue. I will be covering talent builds and priority lists, and I'll also do a bit extra and talk a bit about Roll the Bones, which is a new mechanic that Outlaw Rogues have. So let's jump right into it. For the talent build, I would suggest going with Sword Dance. This is not Pokemon. There is no Sword Dance. For the talent build, I would suggest going with Swordmaster. It's passive. You get 10% chance to do twice the damage. Compared to Quick Draw and Ghostly Strikes, there are things that you have to actually manage. I'm very much of the playstyle that if it's passive and it just works on its own, then go with that, because you already got a lot of other stuff to watch out for during a raid. That's majority of the content that I do, so it just makes it easier. For level 30, you do have a bit of a choice. I think Hit and Run will probably end up being a little bit better in that it's always up, so you always move 15% faster. You can go with Grappling Hook, but if you're not using it every time you move, like if movement isn't occurring in, like, say 30-second intervals and then you're completely still between then, it's not really as good as Hit and Run, which is always up, so always lets you get into position quicker. For level 45, I think Deeper Stratagem, just because your abilities, most of them don't really require a lot of energy, so there's no point in Vigor and Anticipation. They've pretty much, because they got rid of the 10 points that you could store and you can only store 8 now, it's not quite as good. So Deeper Stratagem. Cheat Death, it's there, it's passive, it's good. Prey on the Weak, again, it's there, it's passive, it's good. Stick with those. Alacrity. So as a combat rogue, a outlaw rogue, which is what it was. Sorry. So as a combat rogue, you want to go with Alacrity because you're very haste dependent. So with this spec, you want to be hitting faster, you want to be getting more hits in, you want to be getting all of that energy that you can get. So energy regen that you can get. So Alacrity helps you do that. You'll be rolling the bones and you'll be using Death from Above and Run Through as your abilities. So Alacrity will help you do that quicker. If there's mobs, like a lot of mobs every 2 minutes, so you can pretty much use Killing Spree on cooldown, this might be a little bit better. Pair it with, say, Blade Fury and having it on cooldown every 2 minutes with lots of mobs. Yeah, this might be better. But overall, single target, go with Alacrity. For the final tier, again, if you can use it pretty much on cooldown and there's ads dying often, Marked for Death might be better. But if there's no ads dying, say every minute, and you can reset the cooldown, then Death from Above wins that just that little bit more. With Slice and Dice, you attack 90% faster. That's good. It's better than what it was. But with Roll the Bones, I'll talk about that in a bit. So, alright, so how do you play an Outlaw Rogue? Because you don't have a gap closer like Shadow Step, you lost that. You will have to sprint into position. The alternative is if you spec into Grappling Hook, you can always use that. But sprint is just as good. Yeah, so you sprint in, obviously from stealth. You hit Ambush, then you want to hit your Adrenaline Rush, then you want to hit Saber Slash, and if you get the opportunity, which is a buff for a debuff. You might need to track that. You get a free pistol shot. So if you get that from Saber Slash, use pistol shot. And then just keep Roll the Bones up and Death from Above. If that's on cooldown, just use Run Through. So just always keep Roll the Bones up. So that's to open. It changes slightly for the actual priority once you're in combat. So that will be if you've got more than one ad together. So if you have two ads that are stacked on top of each other, you want to use Blade Flurry. If you have three ads and they're stacked, that's Blade Flurry. Basically, if you're not fighting just a single ad, then don't have Blade Flurry. But if it's more than one ad, put Blade Flurry up. You want to use your Roll the Bones to get True Bearing. If you get that buff from Roll the Bones, then hit Adrenaline Rush. And then you just use Saber Slash as your filler, Pistol Shot when you get opportunity, and then Death from Above or Run Through, depending on if you've got 6 combo points. So Death from Above when it's off cooldown. If it's on cooldown and you can't use it, then use Run Through. If it's only a couple of seconds and you're not going to energy cap, you can always just save that and use Death from Above because it is better. But yeah, so basically just Saber Slash as your filler, Pistol Shot when you can, and Death from Above. So the main thing to watch out for here is that you want to get the True Bearing buff. That's probably the highest DPS gain. And once you have that, then you want to use Adrenaline Rush so that you're reducing the cooldown as soon as you've used it. I've heard accounts that you can take the 3-minute Adrenaline Rush cooldown and with True Bearing bring that down to a minute. So it's pretty much up at least half the time, 50%, if not more. So massive, massive DPS gain. So let's see what that looks like in game. So just quickly before I get into it, I wanted to clarify that Adrenaline Rush is a self buff on yourself. True Bearing is a self buff on yourself. And finally, I wasn't sure about Opportunity, whether it was a buff on yourself or not, and it is. So keep that in mind for weak auras, or if you're like me, lazy, and use Need to Know. So yeah. So you'll be starting from south, use Ambush, Adrenaline Rush, which is on cooldown now, because I've already used it. I will even really start with this. And then use Saber Slash to get 6 combo points, at least I would. Roll the Bones. So, to clarify, you only really, you can fish for a True Bearing buff in your opener, but really you've got Adrenaline Rush, and for the first one, you just jump right into Death from Above and Run Through. After using Roll the Bones once. Once Adrenaline Rush wears off, then you jump into your actual rotation. So we'll see that in action. Ambush, Adrenaline Rush, Saber Slash to get 4 combo points. I got a pistol shot. That, and then now I would only ever really use Death from Above. So now Adrenaline Rush has fallen off, and I can fall into my actual rotation. Nearly forgot to mention, with Vanish, just use it on cooldown, because like you can get a free thingo from it, ambush, which does a bit more damage. Like you don't really have anything other than that interacts with it. So I got True Bearing, I would use Adrenaline Rush now. So see how fast everything just goes. So that's pretty much the rotation. Basically, the gist of it is you Saber Slash, you fish for True Bearing buffs from Roll the Bones. Well, you use Saber Slash and Pistol Shot when you get opportunity. You fish for the True Bearing buff from Roll the Bones. If you've got the buff, then you hit Adrenaline Rush. Otherwise, you just use Death from Above or Run Through. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe in the section below. Have a good one!